In almost every case, we ask our country what it can do for us, what more it can offer us. But little did we ask ourselves, what can we possibly offer our country? We were remiss of our responsibilities, and as a consequence of this, our land collapsed, and we fell into a quagmire of social conundrum. And as if things are not worse yet, it was our very leaders who defined the swamp we fell into. Time after time again, we couldn't free ourselves from the chain of our condition. And it is as if we became subject of an endless loop. But enough is enough. As children of this nation, we refuse to remain as slaves in our own land. We commit to breaking the chain that binds us to the fold of our fathers. We commit to break free.
A father's deception. I see you. I truly, terrifyingly do. I see you as you hide behind the very fabric of the sun. The shadow of your greed threatens the foundation of this land. Your lust for power buried your innocence in a coffin. You strayed from the progress you promised and steered away from the traction of hope. You took to the grave the nation's candles of light, the very moment you sank the day and succumbed to the night. You are what fuels the quagmire of the benighted people of this country. You are the prime factor that leads division to ascendancy. At the beginning of the chapter, you purport of education and dedication. But in eventual conclusion, I saw the neon screaming rancid of your identity. You're all naught but the propagator of corruption, the vile cause of the fall of this country. I see you. I truly, devastatingly do. You were once the father I looked up to. You always decide for unity without violence, for the progress of this nation, for the education of its people, and the security of their future. I know you. I truly, sincerely do. You were once full of dreams of betterment of this land. You advocated the education and to extol the country to the highest seat of glory. You were once full of aspirations as citizen of this nation. You promised to serve the people and never the goals. You swore to be faithful to the noble cause.
But I saw you. I was there when you defied your words and turned your back on to the people who had hope in their eyes. I saw you. I saw how you battered the mirror that your pure dreams shaped to that of Jose. Father, I saw how you became the person you despise the most. He who blocks the root of egress from absolute height. How are you able to abandon yourself, Father? How are you able? Forgotten your daughter. I can never fathom the reason behind of your untold destruction of the vision of every compatriot of this nation. Mayhap you were set for it to be the epitome embodiment, designed in opposition to the young youth, the great lion of this country was. He who burned his wings as he lighted close to the flames. Look at me. Look at me, Father. Can't you see how clear corruption ruined my chances in life? Come, touch and feel the cold warmth of my sister who had died. Come and see and lay with my brothers who fought for what is right, who fought with their life, who were killed in their quest for their light. Look, Father, look at how your children inspired. I am all that is left. If you ask for Mother, she starved herself to allow us to feast on a single bread. She passed away, weeping every night, for having to watch her son work for him after every crib, having to labor every little time. All less consequent of your heavy and grievous crime.
Honorable men of the Philippine Army, benighted people of my country, I request for you to take off your blinds and see the brightness embedded in my father's lives. He swore to unite the people of this land, catapult each one free from the swamp of poverty, and serve your sons with a future as bright as of the sun. But look at my brothers, my sisters, and my mother. They bathed in their blood that took the color of the soil that warmed them. Alas, they died, deprived and divided, and so will the rest of this nation, should you free the brick of the corruption and allow him to roam the city, provoking not but further division and ultimately the mount foundation of civilization, our education. Therefore, hear me when I say that my father, who once promised to bridge our country to progress, now become the cornerstone for corruption. From this nation's social problems worsen, almost beyond saving. I will not hold the luxury of witnessing tomorrow should we do nothing about it. I will not see the promises of this land being fulfilled, and your child won't either. I am but a young child, so pure, so thin. But alas, in spite of my frailties, I survived. I witnessed the exchange of the devils. They promise absolute ruination to fulfill their selfish inclinations. And there is no better response to this than to have a man accelerate and advance education.
Remember the time when this country was conquered by foreign nationals. Rizal, the great Malayan, emphasized and advocated the education of his people, as he himself epitomized education's potential to shape a person for greater heights. Although he was born a weakling, Rizal became an intellectual giant. With his excellent educational history, in the same manner, I wish to witness education transform the people of this wretched land. I wish to foster a society where ignorance is dispelled and never branded as bliss. But, alas, it is, and worse more than the corruption of my father, the system of this country denies the people of education. And such deprivation leads to further division of the Filipino people. Education is the cornerstone for the country's betterment. A dire need at this point in time. I believe in its ability to develop the people's mentality in approaching each nation. Rizal did. Rizal hoped for in every fabric of its existence. Education is the foundation of society and prerequisite for social progress. Alongside our hero, I stand to maintain that education is potent enough to break the country free from domination, just like how he advocated education as necessary condition in a free society, fundamental in the pursuance of liberty. He once said, without education and liberty, the soil and the sun of mankind, no measure can give the desired result. As bottom as it is, Rizal's philosophy of education concentrates on providing proper motivation to bolster the great social forces that make education a cornerstone of the country's development and spur the youth. with an innate desire to cultivate their intelligence towards national aspirations. I am who he spoke by you, and he holds home to believe that education is key to succeed in life. That it is the road of egress from poverty, where prosperity awaits at the end of the road. Yes, there's truly a common concession. This statement, however, for millions of my brothers and sisters who live beyond the poverty line, worsened by the series of events that transpired since Father gave into corruption, inherently evil in every sense of the word. This is unfortunate. Not the case as we find ourselves more stuck than ever in one-way street, where education is not included in the option, but rather sweep, shop, and forced labor.
And so, dare I say, one of the biggest factors that deepen the Camarada nation has sunk into is how we were deprived of education. How can it be made possible for us to be in the forefront of nation building and become the leaders of tomorrow, when children these days have grown to only care about satisfying our hunger, mourning for the death of our mother, coping with the loss of our sisters, and attending the injury of our brothers? We died even before the gun was fired, even before the war has started. We lost as we were pushed down the price of losing the tidbits of our interest. In embarking a quest for knowledge as education in the country is costly and that it's almost convincing to believe that it is exclusive to those privileged people only. Rizal considered education as a primary component of his people's emancipation. It had always been purposely for the acquisition of knowledge, for freeing oneself from self-ignorance. It is through education that one may realize himself into a social being and fully actualize into an indispensable member of sovereign nation. Such a beautiful vision for the greatest Malayan there ever made. However, Father, this aspiration of Rizal will never come to life, not when you deplete the hope of this nation, even of the basic and essential resources to educate ourselves. Where opportunity gaps continue to widen, the rate of exploited children continue on the rise, you rather ensure that I am chained away from having an access to relevant and engaging educational resources in your desire to foster the already widespread illiteracy, education deprivation, opportunity gaps, as well as the exploitation of your beloved children. You fear that when I get to learn, I can foster a community that controls their future. You fear that the nation can then break free from the puppet strings of your design. But Father, I do not see the fault in there. I do not see where your apprehension is coming from. You are the government that your children believed in, not the antagonistic puppeteer in a public display. But alas, your true fabric was at the latter. Oh shame that many of us had died in vain.
Your once soft and promising eyes now mirror a storm so menacing, almost a hurricane, a terrorizing wave of dreadful and vicious cane. Why have you abandoned us, Father? What did the flames show you to have you turn back to your children? When I called for you and told you of the death of your wife and the loss of your firstborn. When I come to you in tears and told you that I am all that's left of your children. When I hope that you would take me in and become the reason that you repent. You cuffed my hands and blocked my eyes. In your shame to admit the fault in your hands, you chained me and locked me away to the tower. But such tower was of great height. I was almost close to reaching the heavens. And there, Father, I told them in prayer of how you had taken for
trust of your children. I can never curse you at the end of the tunnel, for you were my father, and I am your children. I can only see you and witness how you are hunted by the death of your people.
I see you, Father. You are the walking agent of corruption, of division, and of education deprivation. You are what fuels unemployment of my sisters, the poverty of a mother, the death of this nation, and refuse to believe that our heroes died in vain. But if you do not come back, so the light and decline stray from the height, I cannot help but think that Rizal, Bonifacio, and the rest of those who bled for our sovereignty, and the independence who died for our freedom and our progress, all embrace the soil of this land in vain. I see you, Father, are terrifyingly true. The tears that trickle their way down my cheek took the hue of my blood, the color of your deception of the people. I know you that my name, by your promises and false innocence. I see you, Father, and with you standing atop the coffins of your children. I see you shouldering the death of this nation. Only with the cessation of your existence will I never then see the resurrection of this land.